Good day, my spiritual butt bangers. Welcome to Fieros Reborn and spiritual butt bangers. Come on, let's eat some dry roasted peanuts. Dry roasted peanuts. I just had to share that with you. Let's do it. Let's welcome back to Fieros' story time. Here we are again in the seat of life. I do find myself amazing. If you hadn't realised, it's amazing how much excitement I can generate by eating peanuts in a desperately quiet room. Feel the silence enter your veins. Actually, I know it's not silent, because these fucking videos always record a background hum. What's that all about, eh? Right. I've just been looking at a bit of Burning Man, and then I realised I'm Fieros! Fieros Reborn! I am the Burning Man! Yep, that's that then. And I just thought, what a bunch of dickheads. Ooh, yes! Fuck hippies, man. Hippies are just the most abrasive, irritating human beings, are they not? There's a lot of hippies about in Bournemouth when I went to Bournemouth, there was a lot of hippies there. In fact, there was a whole Greenpeace festival day at one of the pubs that I frequented, and it was full of idiotic hippies. And if I could try and summarise hippiedom these days, it is something like intense moral superiority over the common person, clothed as helpfulness, benign motivations, and an ecological perspective on life. But what it really just is an intense form of individualism amongst a collectivism as well. So you become the individual hippie in the collective of the hippiness, and you take on a strange form of moral superiority over every other human being who's not a hippie. And you have to do this every time you say anything. Yeah, and you cease to become a normal human being. And I don't mean normal human being like wearing normal clothes and having a normal job and living a normal life. I mean normal as in like you cease to be a sane individual. You lose touch with reality just a little bit when you become a hippie, because you have to now subscribe to peace and love, man. Peace and love and drugs. Peace and love and drugs, man. And what that means is, oh dear, it means that you no longer actually really just enjoy your experience and live your experience and enter into the reality that is just right here, right now, because you start living in hippie make-believe worlds of fairies and leprechauns and mushroom eating, and everything is so important in life, and spirituality is so important in life. Let me tell you, Mr. or Mrs. Hippie, if your spirituality has suddenly taken over your life and you cease to know how to do this, or if you cease to know how to like do your taxes because you've suddenly become a hippie, or if you cease to know how to say hello, mate, or if you cease to if you cease to know how to just have a cup of tea without putting some interesting additive in it, and without it coming from Venezuela or whatever. If you cease to kind of just be able to relate to your common person, as in the everyman, the everybody, the person there who's there, sat next to you in different clothes to you, if you can't remember how to say it right, mate, or hello there, then you've entered into a non-reality. You've just disconnected from things in the pursuit of becoming a hippie. or becoming a festival goer, or whatever it is. I've just been looking at Burning Man stuff, and I just find it like, I find it silly. I find it, it's annoying. It's annoying that you have to do something like this. It's annoying that people don't just feel free to walk around with their butts out in normal life. You know, I feel like, I don't know. Am I jealous? It just looks terrible. Everyone's always on about love and gifting and gratitude. I just want to kill some people instead. You know, why? Why with all the love? And you know, you cannot exist in a permanent state of love. I don't care what we say in spirituality. Oh, we're going to become loving and so on. Yeah, fine, but there are still realities of death that are always occurring. There's a reality of poverty that's always occurring in the world. There's a reality of illness that's always occurring in the world. There's a reality of famine that's always occurring in the world. There's a reality of war that's always occurring in the world, you know. And there we are in our little bliss out. We go to a festival for a week and we go like, oh, we should love everybody. I feel so grateful for everything and everyone. And yeah, you are still gonna die, and your family is still gonna die, and all. And your whole life is going to turn to mush at the end, and I just don't want you to. I mean, fine, be happy, and express yourself and love, and go into that feeling. But then you have to realize that's not all that there is in the world. You know, it's fine to be all lovey and stuff, and to learn how to love and be free in your feelings, and free in your movements, and free in your giving and all that whatever. But then the reality of life is the world is not made like that. And it's like, it's the denial of the shadow. The denial of the shadow. I come across this all the time in spirituality, because spirituality is so intent, for the most part, so intent on fucking, what is it? Is it love and light? Love and light. Spirituality is so intent on increasing your vibration, raising your vibration, you know, getting to your love and light, expressing your gratitude, manifesting things even. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those things in themselves. What I'm saying is, when you neglect the fact that there's pain, anguish, torment, suffering, torture, war, death, famine, disease, syphilis, there's horrible tasting slugs, you know, bashing your knee against a wall by accident as you walk past it. There's all sorts of bad things in the world. And when you flip either way too far into the experiencing of either thing, if you become too preoccupied with the shadow, too preoccupied with the negativity and trying to solve the negativity, then you just become a ball of hate and a ball of depression, and you go and live in Hollywood instead. And then if you go too far into the light side of things, and you deny the whole that anything bad is ever happening, and you try to just continuously seek for the goodness of life, and the passion of life, and the flowering of life, and the light of life, and the love of life, and the gratitude of life, and the wisdom of life, and all the purity of the holiness of the spirit, of the sacredness of life, and deny all this other stuff that's going on, then you become you disconnect from reality, and you stop becoming a human being, and you start becoming a human idiot. I got all that out of watching about 10-15 minutes worth of Burning Man. So what is my point here? Do I have a point? My point is, you don't need to do anything to be yourself, to be happy, and to live truthfully. You don't need to chant. You don't need to dance. You don't need to run about in the moonlight naked. You don't need to go to Burning Man. You don't need to take drugs. These things all are fine. Do them as well, whatever. But they're not going to remind you of who you are necessarily. They might give you a bunch of great experiences that will all fade into the nothingness of death when you get to the end of it all anyway, so... I don't know. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. Okay, let's do Fieros' story time. One thing I'm learning through this Fieros' story time, right, is because I'm doing all these fucking videos about my time in America. And you know what I learn? You know what I'm learning from this? It's the same sort of idea that I'm telling you about the Burning Man thing. You can go on these trips and these journeys and these adventures, and eventually you realise they all fade into mush. That your whole life is going to fade into mush. In the split second before you die, your whole life that came before it is suddenly faded into mush, and you're just right here in that split awakening moment. I'm about to die. Everything is gone, because that's the moment when you're going to click over to the next, whatever happens next, if there is anything that happens next, and everything that has happened here and everything that you were thinking might happen later if I stay alive longer, whatever. In that split second before you're just about to die, oh God, here I am. You know, and all these, like, for example, all these videos, all these journeys, everything you've ever listened to, everyone you've ever known, everything suddenly gets reduced to just this tiny speck of light and this tiny, infinitesimally small present moment, and you just, oh my God, here I am. And that's the truth of experience, which is that you are that present moment reality at all times through it all anyway. So, and that's the part of us that we've forgotten, is to go, oh my God, yeah. Here I am. And you can live with that split second feeling, that sort of, I'm about to die. And I don't mean it in a fearful way. I mean, it's the life rush. It's the rush of being here in the life. Whoa, yeah, here we are. Okay. Oh my God, here we are in life. Oh my God, yeah. Whoa, here we are in life. This is life. And you can do that at any time. You don't have to wait until you're about to die to realise that everything that has gone before this moment has already turned to mush anyway. Oh my God, yeah, here I am. And everything that will happen in the future is just a potentiality, but you come back to here. Okay, yeah, here I am. Okay, so what I'm learning through the telling of these stories from the Fieros in the jungle, Fieros in America story, is that it doesn't matter. None of it matters at all. You know, it was fun at the time, or it was interesting at the time, or it was intense at the time, or it might have been traumatic at the time, or difficult at the time. But it's like the whole of your life flashing before your eyes. If you tell the story of your life, you realise none of it really fucking matters. This happening now, all the stuff that's happening now in this video, by the end of the video, oh, here I am. And I live in that place anyway, but it's like, you cannot hold on to life. You cannot, none of your memories are going to get you anywhere. None of your experiences are going to get you anywhere. All of this stuff that's happening is going to be completely meaningless in the split second before you die, because all you're going to be confronted with is pure existence. Here I am, and I'm about to be gone. All of this body is going to be gone. All of this mind is going to be gone, and all there is that split second of pure awareness, pure existence. Here I am. Oh. You know, and none of the expression of life has any meaning whatsoever in that moment. All you are is the purity, the depth of pure life. You are just the pure life essence in that moment. Not that I know it firsthand, but I can feel it. That's what it would be like. Here I am. So what I'm learning is, I'm not learning anything. I've not learned anything from all of those stories, because the only thing that I have ever learned is to awaken, which is to be here in the nowness of here, to be in this field of nothingness while I'm seeing everything that is happening, to stay in the center of consciousness, to stay in that pure beingness, to just be, here I am. That's the only thing I have ever really and truly learned in life. You might think that's a pretty shit thing to learn. I also learned 1 + 1 = 2. But then I learned that 1 + 1 = 2 is going to be utterly meaningless in the face of death. And everything else that has ever happened, everything I've ever bought, everywhere I've ever been, the people I've had sex with, you know, the people I've loved, the things I've owned, the places I've lived, the places I've been, the things I've heard, the things I've said, the things I've done, the things I've felt. Oh, in that moment of death, it's utterly meaningless. You know, it's completely fallen away. It's turned to mush. You know, memories, they will disintegrate into this just pure beingness. This is pure instantaneous sense of being. So if you can be that, if you can feel that knowingness of that's my sound for it. It's a snapping back to that sense of stillness at the core of your being. If you can be in that place, then this stuff that happens and that you do and that you see and that you go is just a passing fun fanciful thing. It's just everything that you do and everything and everywhere you go is all kind of just fun, or experience. It's not necessarily always fun, but it's experience, and you are that like tiny instantaneous experiencing of all of this. And then when you get to the end of all of this stuff, this manifestation of the world, you just return back to that point of experience, that point of light, that instantaneousness of being that encapsulates the smallest fraction of time and the eternity of all time. So it's both at the same time. Yeah, so I mean, going back to the America stuff, in a way, you would kind of hope that I'd be like learning some deep healing, or sorry, learning some deep lessons and going through some deep healings. A little bit. I mean, my body feels a little bit kind of lighter since I've been doing the things. You know, I'm letting off the stuff from there. But from the perspective of this instantaneous here I amness, from that perspective, it's so okay, great. That's cool that my body feels lighter. You know, it's better, definitely better than my body feeling heavy. But even when I was in the heaviness, I still had that sense of here I amness. So it's like there's a part of me that is untouched by all this manifestation, and then there are parts of me that want to still have better manifestations as well. That part of me that want to experience more coolness, more funness, more excitement, more joy, and more pleasure. But there's a part of me that knows that all of that stuff, the fun, the joy, the pleasure, the nice situations, the good job, etc., all the things I've mentioned in previous videos as being desires that I'd really like to have for this body in this lifetime, right? For me, give me the thing now. That, yeah, okay, it's gonna be great. But there's this part of me that is an abiding sense throughout all of this that just doesn't care at all. It's just fine, you know, be tortured and I'll still have the sense of I amness. All right, it's going to be shit, and I'd rather not be in that situation. I'd really rather not be in that situation, and I would fucking hate it. But there would still be the sense of I amness even through that. And that's the part that just, it's like unwavering. It doesn't care. It's abiding. You know, it's constancy, as the Tao Te Ching would say. It's a sense of abiding constancy. Continuousness. It's not even continuousness because there's no difference between it from one second to the next. It abides within all perceptions. So yeah, I mean, the fact that I was sexually harassed or sexually assaulted in America, it's a long time ago, so it doesn't really matter that much, but it probably affected me a little bit at the time. It probably affects me somewhere in my psyche. It's a weight in the body system, in the mind system. But I guess it's like when all these things, these stories disintegrate and dissolve back into beingness, you realize that, well, they were all, it was great, it was a fun experience, or it was terrible, it was a terrible experience. But here I am now in the silence of pure being. So whatever. I don't know, it's hard to express. I'm trying to do my best to express how this feeling is, because it's a sense of nothing matters at all, really. Nothing eternally matters at all. And the weight of the stories that we tell and the weight of our experiences that we've been through are kind of a hindrance to us experiencing the just pure instantaneousness of our being. So the more we hook into all the different things that happen and all the things we've been through and all the terrible experiences and all the great experiences, the more we like drag our consciousness into those forms of our lives, those things and people and places and stories and events and things that have happened in the past and things that we want to happen in the future and all those desires, the more that we get overtaken by those and our consciousness goes in to those in the mind space and gives them a lot of weight and importance. For one thing, that actually slows down our physical body in the present moment, and it makes us heavy in our minds and heavy in our emotions, and it makes it more difficult for us to respond naturally in the instantaneousness of life. In any new situation that's always arising, the forms of life are always changing in front of our awareness. And if we're too bogged down by old ones and still thinking about them and feeling the sort of story of them and rehashing things about that, then we're missing this new one, and this one that's always here, always now. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, really. What am I trying to say? Like, the story that I went through, it seemed important at the time, and it seemed important to tell the story, and through the telling of the story I realized it's not important at all. And it doesn't matter at all, and it barely mattered at all at the time. Right, so it mattered in its own context. So all of our stories in life matter in the context of it being an experience for us, but it doesn't matter eternally to us. It doesn't give us the sense of directness of being, of the instantaneous pureness, clarity of being, that none of the stories and imaginations and memories of the things that we've been through can ever bring us back to the sensation of being here, the knowing of being here, the living of being here. And so we must just stay primarily fixed and fixated upon the sensation of being here, the knowing of being here, the consciousness of being here. And then even when you're thinking of these memories, your primary consciousness, your primary knowing, your primary center should be in the now of the here, the being here and telling your story from here. I don't know if that's making any sense at all, but so when you start telling your stories of your life, right? If you want to not get bogged down by it, you just return your sensation back into your body and back into the experiencing of your nowness. And yeah, I suppose by telling your story, what can happen is that you're releasing all the old baggage. So I guess it does make it easier to feel the nowness, I suppose, but not really, because part of the nowness was the awareness of having these stories to tell. So I'm trying to say, what is the benefit of doing this? Basically, like, the benefit is it gives me more expressive capacity, which is fun, it feels slightly better. And yet there's still a part of me that is like, feelings don't even matter to this aspect. Feelings don't even matter. I could go through depression and there would still be, oh, here I am. Here is this knowingness, this awareness, this abiding sense of consciousness through all feelings as well, even the worst sufferings now. Just, oh, here I am. Yeah, and experiencing that and experiencing the turbulence of the mind. So I think that forms really only matter to their own context. So all this stuff in the world only really matters in the context of the world. And from the perspective of pure being, or the perspective of instantaneous knowing of being, this all is just going to be disintegrated in that anyway. So it doesn't really matter that much. So what's the big deal, you know? This whole thing is all going to be mush, and less than mush. In fact, it's going to completely disappear. So if you have that knowing that it kind of already disappeared in that sense, you know, the heaviness of life has already evaporated, then that's good, I suppose. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've watched the fucking Burning Man video now. I've just gone insane, temporarily insane. I'm just saying insane things that make no sense. Okay, fine. What else? Well, I was thinking maybe I should like try and tell more of those stories, but what else is there to tell? Okay, I got sexually assaulted with the gross fat bellied person playing with my dick and kissing me with a disgusting taste in his mouth. Right? I got slapped in the face by Mrs. D. I got kneed in the balls by Mrs. D. I said it right this time as well. That was shit. That was really shit. I wrote a song about it when I came back, and it had lines like about me playing Gandhi because I was trying to be this martyr and I was trying to help her somehow and trying to sort of be non-violent, and she was being violent to me. You know, like in the film Gandhi, where Gandhi gets whoopished all the time, and he's like stands firm. No, I will burn these papers, and they're like beating him down. It's a bit like that. I felt like that when this bitch, Mrs. D, was fighting me down and kicking me in the noits, kneeing me in the balls. I'm just going to go and get the fucking wine. Let's just crack out the wine. I'm going for a piss. I'm going to get the wine and enjoy. Whatever, mate. Whatever, innit? I've gone temporarily insane.